So I had some leftover ground turkey in the fridge, so I'm gonna make some turkey meatballs. Now, I do these a couple different ways, a couple different variations, but today it's really about what I have on hand. And unfortunately, I don't have any onion on hand or Parmesan cheese, so we're gonna mix this up a little bit. What I have here is about a half a pound of ground turkey. I like to use a little bit of tomato paste just to add a little bit of depth of flavor. So just a little squeeze of that. Then obviously salt and pepper are key, and the tomato paste will help to add a little bit of moisture too. So let's get some salt, and then some fresh ground black pepper. Now the key with turkey is it's very lean, so you need to make sure that you add some moisture elements, which is why I actually have a little bit of truffle oil here, so I'll just do a little bit of that just to add a little bit of extra moisture and fat so that they don't dry out. So a nice drizzle of that. Then the key is to really make it flavorful. Turkey is a very bland meat. It doesn't have the same flavor base that a veal or a beef does, so I like to add a lot of flavor elements. So I've got some some crushed red pepper. And what I do with that is you want to make sure that you actually rub these between your fingers because it helps release the oils and really break up the spice a little bit and bring out the heat. Then I have some dried oregano. When making Italian food, I actually prefer dry oregano to fresh oregano because dry has more flavor. Now, normally I would use fresh basil or fresh parsley, but unfortunately I don't have any, so I'm going to go with dry today. But still, we'll add a nice undertone of that herby feeling. Then we're going to go ahead and mix this up. When mixing meatballs, you want to make sure that you don't over mix them. So really just mix them enough to get the ingredients combined. Then we're going to go ahead and form the balls. I like to do meatballs that are a little bit smaller because they cook faster. And for me, speed is key. So you just go ahead and make them about this size. So we'll probably get about 5 or 6 out of this batch of half a pound. But if you end up with more or less, don't worry about it. We just want them all to be equal size. So as you can see, these are probably moister, and I don't actually use, a lot of people making meatballs will use a binder, so an egg and some breadcrumbs. But because I'm trying to, be a little calorie conscious and also make this quick and easy, I don't. Just know that your meatballs aren't going to be perfectly round and they're not going to have the same texture, per se, of a traditional Italian meatball. But these are still delicious and super flavorful. And they cook quickly, which is wonderful. So get that shaped. And on the stove, you'll want to have some oil heating, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of oil and then use a brush to kind of move it around to make sure it's fully coated, and that way you use less oil. So we'll go ahead and bring these tasty little things over to the stove. Then we're just going to go ahead and take our meatballs and place them in the oil. And we'll turn this up a little bit. Got that great sizzle going. Now, if you're in a really big hurry, another thing you can do is actually flatten the meatballs so that they end up being a little bit more like mini patties, and that will actually cook them through even faster. And the key with searing any food is to make sure that you get a good brown crust on the bottom, and you don't want to move it until that crust forms. That's when the meat will actually release from the pan. If you try to move it before it's ready, it will actually stick, and that's a lot of times why you end up with food that sticks to the pan. So you want to make sure that you actually give enough time to truly sear. So once I sear these off and get them kind of nice, that there's a nice crust on all sides, then what I like to do is actually cut up some fresh tomato, a little bit of garlic, saute that and actually cook them all the way through just to get the center fully cooked. So it's almost like a quick homemade tomato sauce. Or the other option is to actually just pull a jar of sauce, any of your store-bought sauces. I try to look for ones that don't have corn syrup in them, just because they're a little bit healthier and also a little bit more flavorful. So look for one of those sauces, and you can just use a little bit just to moisten these and also just help them cook all the way through.